So, the theme of this episode for me is really about connection and creating community as a late identified adult from my own personal story. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Neurodivergent podcast. I'm Danielle Sullivan. I'm very happy to be with you today. Welcome in. I'm here today after a good length of break, and I'm going to be talking a little bit more personally about some of the stuff that's going on both with me and with neurodiverging as a whole. If you're not interested in that kind of episode, no worries. Go ahead and skip ahead, and we have lots more stuff coming up in the future that I'm really excited about. Some things to start us off with. It is 10 p.m. as I'm sitting to record this after a full day out with my kids. I also have my phone on because just as I came to sit down, I learned that we are under flood watch where I am. And historically, we are on a higher space and should be fine. But I am keeping my phone on, so I apologize if there are beeps in this one. I want to start off this episode, which I usually do, but it's even more meaningful today, thanking my patrons over at patreon.com/neurodiverging, especially the Discord folks. I'm so grateful for all of you. But the Discord folks, you know who you are, have been saving my life basically this past year. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. A heads up, in this episode, I'll be discussing some heavier topics than we usually do, including death of a pet, death of a couple people, and the grief that goes along with that. Please take care of yourselves. And again, if this is not the episode for you, no shame. Please go find something that will work for where you are today. So, the theme of this episode for me is really about connection and creating community as a late identified adult from my own personal story. But I have had, like many people, a particularly difficult 2025. And I've learned a lot about myself and my own processes as a neurodivergent person working through some really challenging things that I would love to share with you in the hopes that it's helpful to somebody. So, to start off, when I was younger, I was in a traditional public school setting and undiagnosed, and then went through college undiagnosed. And college was really the first place that I managed to find people who were kind of like me and kind of got me and kind of understood me for who I was. You know who you are. Thank you. But then once I sort of launched, quote unquote, into real world and jobs and things, I had a lot of trouble making friends, keeping friends, fitting in. Community always seemed like something that was out of reach. I tried a lot of different things. I joined clubs. I tried to get into hobbies. I am a poly non-monogamous person, which is not precisely about community, but it's also not about community, right? Because if you're in that world, you know that many of us know each other and, maybe have even dated in the past. And no matter what town you're in, if you know one poly person, you're kind of easily plugged into a group of other folks, which is one nice thing about that kind of ethos and an approach to relationships. That's not what I'm talking about today. But basically, I tried a lot of things to create community. And what I always found was that, first of all, it was hard to find people who got me. Second of all, when I did find people that I liked, I felt like I had to mask to make them like me. And then they weren't getting the real me. And so I was accidentally lying to them about who I was. They made assumptions about what I could or could not do or did and did not want to do based on this mask as opposed to the real me. And that's not on them, right? That's arguably on me for masking who I was. A lot of it, though, was invisible to me just as much as it was for them. I didn't know I was masking. And so how was I supposed to take the mask off? And I know a lot of you have dealt with similar challenges. It's something I hear from a lot of late identified folks, and maybe especially women, though it happens, I think, in all groups. As I have gotten older, I have been more and more invested in creating community. And in fact, a large part of why I started the Neurodiverging podcast in the first place was to find people like me. This was never supposed to be a coaching business. This was never supposed to be what it is now. And I'm so grateful for what it is. But what it originated as was me recording episodes about my own life in bed at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. or midnight after the kids had gone to sleep, exhausted and isolated and feeling like there had to be other people out there going through the same thing as me. And I have been so grateful to find you all. Connection's just always been really difficult. coming into this year, 2025. I mean, you all know what's going on politically. I don't have to spell it out, right? I live in the United States in Colorado. It's wild out there. Despite the wild levels of privilege that I possess as a human, there are lots of places where I'm marginalized too. There's lots of places where my friends and family are marginalized, and we're all scared. On top of that, all the political stuff, there's this ongoing emergence and infiltration of AI into our day to day. What has happened to me and what I think has happened to a lot of people is that now the places that we used to go to connect with our other humans have been taken over by stuff that's AI generated that is not really human created at some point and is not really intended to create real true connection. It's intended as rage bait or as clickbait or to get me to do something, right? To use me as a consumer and as a product, as opposed to way early social media, which was really like you logged onto the Facebook back when it was the Facebook, and you only saw people you knew and you only read their status updates, and there were no ads and no memes and no like, hey, you should follow this person you've never seen before. I have experienced, and also a lot of clients have come in really lamenting the loss of those social spaces, mourning, in addition, the loss of our third places in our day-to-day lives, those places that are not home or work, but are other places you go, right? A lot of us don't have access to libraries or community centers or places to just hang out and be with people, especially ones where you do not have to pay like an entry fee of some kind, right? Because yeah, we could go to Starbucks every day and sit there for how much money? And to what purpose in the end? Very aware, I'm not saying anything new, but just there's something about all of these things coming together into the lives of those of us who are already neurodivergent, already need stronger community ties, and also are having so much trouble finding them, are being blocked from accessing those things. On top of all this sort of set dressing, I had a bunch of stuff happen to me this year that really threw me and is actually responsible for many of the gaps in this podcast going out and many of the gaps in our blog content and our mailing list. First thing that happened is that one of my friends, Stephanie, died far too young of a brain cancer last fall. Our babies are exactly 6 months apart, our oldest children. She was one of the first people I met when I moved to the Boulder area in about 2010, 2011. There were lots of ways that Stephanie and I were not close, and I'm not over here trying to pretend that I was her best friend or her confidant, but she was part of my community, and her family was part of my community. An amazing thing about Stephanie is that she was one of those folks who was so good at connecting with people. It was such a talent and a strength and something I was always envious of. But that through her amazing work in all different spaces, through her family and friend life, every place that Stephanie put energy or chose to show up, she showed up wholeheartedly, and she made connections with real people. And those connections are deep. It was so visible as she was dying because we all knew that she was dying. And we're lucky enough to have some time to show up. The number of people who I met just bringing food to her or going on a walk with her or just hanging out with her towards the end, the number of people who were in and out on a day-to-day basis was amazing. And it was a real example of the ways that putting energy into community and into collective working spaces, not looking at people as commodities or for what we can get out of them, but looking at people as community members who invest in each other. Stephanie's circle really taught me something about what that looks like in action in my own community with real humans who live in the same towns as I do. Stephanie's memorial service didn't happen until the spring. I was sitting at a table having food with a bunch of strangers that I'd never met before, but we all knew Stephanie. And we were all talking together about the ways that she had influenced our lives. It was amazing how many different people from how many different places she had somehow reeled them in. They were invested enough to travel and to come be there for that memorial service, even though they hadn't seen her for a decade in some cases. And I was just blown away and thinking to myself about how much I wanted something similar for myself, how much work she must have done to create this, but also how much it paid off, not just for her in the end, but for her family and for the people she left behind, that we had each other to talk to tell stories with, and to connect with. When I go, whenever that is, I would like for the people I leave behind to not feel alone. And that is something that Stephanie achieved far beyond my wildest dreams. Stephanie's passing showed me a model of what's possible, what we can achieve when we invest into the humans around us deeply, with commitment, with integrity, with authenticity. And it's something that has really stayed with me over the time that she has been gone. Community building is slow work and it's invisible work in a lot of ways. But when you do that slow, invisible work over time, a little bit at a time, you end up with these incredible results. I need to talk about two more deaths, unfortunately. One was our cat, Lucy. So some of you who are on Patreon know Lucy a little bit. Lucy had been with us for 17 years. I'd known her since she was 6 months old. And she was adopted by my partner when I think she was 3 or 4 months old. And then we started dating when she was 6 months old. He actually, when we met online. And I remember our like first messaging chain together was him saying, I might have to cancel our date because my cat's getting spayed. So Lucy has really been there from the beginning for me. We had been through so much together. She had really become a support animal, but also like a friend and a confidant. Any of you who have ever had a pet for a long period of time, and especially if you are as deeply integrated with your animal companions as I am, knows that pets, one of the things that they bring us is the ability to be seen and witnessed without judgment. Lucy was with me through the births of both my children, through various illnesses, challenges, relationships starting, relationships ending, moving twice with her, through my miscarriage a couple of years ago. She's very possibly the animal I've been most bonded with throughout my entire life. And when we found out that Lucy was nearing the end of her life, we were able to make a decision that I'm still so happy about, to let her die at home with all of her people. One of the things that I really learned, and this is not an episode about Lucy's death, though I did consider making one specifically around supporting neurodivergent kids through pet death and grief. If anyone's interested in that, you should send me an email and let me know. It's about what I learned when Lucy passed. When Lucy died, I took 2 weeks off from work. I put up like an email auto reply. I let everyone on Patreon and on Discord know that I was not going to be around. And if it was urgent, you could ping me. But like if it wasn't urgent, I wasn't there, which I had really never done before. Even when I had my miscarriage, there were a couple days that I like was low presence, I would say, but I'd never just taken 2 weeks off from our Get Stuff Dones or our other group programs. And I was scared to do it because we're a little group. I think that a lot of people join the Patreon, especially the higher level resilience tier, which is $49 a month. If you'd like to join, it's amazing. But I think a lot of people join that for the contact with me and my work and the coaching that I offer and the classes that I offer there. And I was really scared to just go away for 2 weeks. And also I felt like I had to, right? And I felt like I deserved to, but I didn't want to break relationship and break trust by just sort of going. I was really nervous and scared, and I did it anyway. Lucy's death was one of the first places that I could clearly see this invisible, slow work that I've been doing to create community over the past 5 years. I know that the work I do matters, and people are extremely generous with their feedback, and I am always booked solid. And so it's not an issue of me not understanding my worth, but I had, I think, so much baggage around not being able to keep friends or make friends or hold friends in my life that I'm very nervous always about doing anything that might break relationship. And what I learned when Lucy died, literally everyone on Discord was so kind. People jumped in to host Get Stuff Done for me. People jumped in to host parent peer support group for me. People posted check-ins with their peers in the group when I was not able to do it. Everybody held space for me and what I was going through in such a kind and generous way. And nobody minimized the loss because part of my fear was in our culture, right? It's expected that you take some time off when a human passes away. But when a pet dies, you're sort of just supposed to like get up and get on with it. And I didn't want to model that for my kids or my people. I didn't think that was really the best way to move forward. But whenever you model something against social expectations, there is vulnerability in that. Everybody on Discord in our amazing little neurodivergent group, nobody minimized my loss. Nobody was like, well, she's just a cat. Everybody let it be what it was. And what was really beautiful is that I felt seen in what I was experiencing the same way that Lucy made me feel seen when I was going through a difficult time. My third story is shorter. My father died about a month ago now, as of recording this episode. We were not on what I would consider good terms. We did not understand each other, by which I mean that I never felt understood by him. And I am also relatively confident that I didn't understand him either. And I always found that frustrating. It wasn't something that I had the power to change. I was not close to him at the time of his death. And when he was dying and after he passed away, I maintained some very necessary mental health boundaries in not interacting with him as much as some other family members wanted me to. And those folks, when he died, responded to those boundaries with dismissal and anger and with judgment. In many ways, it was very understandable, and in many ways, it was very hurtful. And the thing is, if you had asked me years ago where support should come from during a death like this or a family challenge like this, I probably would have said family. I grew up in a very tightly knit extended family with lots of cousins and aunts and uncles and my siblings. I was taught, like many people are taught, that family are the strongest connections you'll ever have. And I think that's the script a lot of us are handed. But in my case, and maybe yours too, and plenty of people I've talked to, that's not actually where safety and compassion live. It's not in your family, at least not as much as you wanted it to be. But the support that you do have comes from the relationships you build, where you invest your time and energy. In my case, when I have had experiences where I tried to invest time and energy with certain people and that wasn't reciprocated, I have made the decision to move on and invest my time and energy elsewhere. And often that's awful. Often it's a really hard and scary and upsetting decision to have to make. But also, the support that I got when all these deaths happened came from my friends and the people I work with and people I talk to maybe only a few times a year. My folks on Discord who are part of my membership community who I've never met in real life, though I very much hope to. These are people who understand me, who know me at least a little bit, who understand my values, and they might live in like totally different places than me. And our texting messaging might have like 3-month gaps in between each text, but we show up for each other when it matters. That's what community should look like. It doesn't need to match this expectation of what family does, and it doesn't have to look like in the movies, and it doesn't have to look like neurotypical friendship. But it has to be grounded in the shared value of connection and authenticity and being real with each other. This give and take not just this capitalist, you put in what you expect to give back, that you put in with the knowledge that this little seed that you pop in there in a slow, strained time will actually become an orchard one day. Because if everybody puts their seeds in, that's what we get. What I really want to bring home and what I've learned from all this stuff, something I knew, but now I really know it from these experiences, is that community is not built on obligation. It's not built on what you're supposed to do or what you should do or what people say you should do or how you should act or how you should think. Community is built on trust and putting in and planting those seeds and doing it slow and doing it steady. And I have always believed that. And now I'm starting to see the returns of that and what it's like to actually have community. Community can't fix emotional pain or grief or any of these challenges I've gone through, right? It doesn't take it away. But knowing you are held up and knowing you are seen for who you are and what you believe and what you feel softens everything. It's a buoy in a tumultuous ocean. And it's somewhere to, I was going to say to put the pain, but not in the sense that you're giving it to somebody else, but that it gets to be diffused out. You're not holding it all by yourself. And even when that feels slow and laborious and like filled with pieces of vulnerability and mistakes and challenges, it's awkward. I think awkward is the word I mean. It feels really awkward sometimes and you're not sure it's working and it can take so much energy, but it's so worth building in. I am so freaking grateful to everybody I've interacted with basically this whole year because I see now in my real life what doing this work results in. And I am telling you, I'm here to tell you, I have not done it perfectly. I have not done it beautifully. I have not done it consistently. I have not done it without significant errors. And still, the results are astounding to me. I want to end this episode by making an invitation that if you are somebody who is craving this kind of connection or who is feeling like you don't have the community you want and deserve, or who is feeling like it's hard to find your people, I want you to see this episode as a call to do something about it. Some things that you can do are just to start exploring. Start exploring what's around you, what's in your local geographical area, what's online, where are your people, where might they be, and to start connecting with them. And if you think that I might be your people, or if you think that Patreon or other neurodiverging folks might be your people, there's a couple of things I want to give you a heads up about. First of all, the Patreon and the mailing list for people looking for like ongoing support or just easy enter places. Those are always available 365, 24/7. So come check us out. There's free tier on the Patreon as well as the paid, and the mailing list is free. And I would love to hang out with you there. I send out mailers about once a week, and I love when people press reply and tell me a little something about their life, tell me that an article was helpful, ask a question about where they could find more about either our work or someone else's work in the community. Those are the little things. Those are the little seeds. I love it. Another thing I want to let you know about is that I turned 40 on May 23rd. I was going to host this 10-day pop-up community called Connecting Community for my 40th birthday as a free with optional paid tier way for people to connect. Because I was really feeling this draw of wanting to connect with more people. And this was after Lucy's death, but right around my birthday, it became very clear that my father was leaving us soon. And I did not want to host a 10-day thing with a bunch of new folks when I might have to bail. And I'm grateful I did not attempt to. Now that I've had a little bit of time, we're going ahead with Connecting Community, and it's starting on July 23rd. I will put a link below if you're interested in finding out more. But basically, it's a 10-day pop-up community on Discord. And if you've never used Discord, it's fine. I'm giving you directions. It's really easy. Don't worry. But it's a 10-day pop-up community where you get 3 little prompts every day that are chill. And you can, if you want to, do those prompts on your own time. You don't have to do them on the day they come out. You can do them anytime during the challenge. And you get points if you want. And if you want to participate in the points, you can win prizes. And if you don't want to participate in the points, you don't have to. You can just sort of show up as you want to. All it's meant to do is bring us all together, give us a little bit of structure to make it easier to interact with each other, make some friends, connect with people, practice being yourself and unmasking in a group with people like you. And like I said, it's free to join. There's an optional paid tier called our supported tier that gives you access to everything the free tier does, plus just a couple of bonuses. And any money that's gained from that goes into our sliding scale coaching fund because people have needed some support this year. So we appreciate if you have extra money to throw it in, if you're looking for kind of a good cause in terms of supporting other neurodivergent people in your community, maybe the paid tier is a good place for you to be. Either way, and whether you ever join Neurodiverging or you're just, here hanging out with us on the podcast, I'm so grateful for you. And I hope that something I said in this mess resonated and was helpful and has made you think. If you have a comment or a question or something you'd like support with, please go ahead and send an email to me at contact@neurodiverging.com or leave a voice note in the link below. Voice notes might be used for an upcoming podcast, but we will not include personally identifiable information of any kind in them. And I would love to interact a little bit more and hear what you think and what's going on for you. Thank you so much for being here for a kind of tender conversation. And please just remember that whatever's going on for you, as alone as you might feel in it, you're not alone. We are broken up into little chunks of groups by society. We are not given access to things we deserve to have access to. It is harder for us to find other humans in the way the world is set up now. That's something that you're responsible to fix for yourself to some degree, but it's not your fault. And you deserve help finding your people. You deserve your people. You're worth knowing and you're worth having community. Thanks for being here with me today. And please remember, we're all freaking in this together. Check out the links below, and I'll see you next time. I'm checking that that wasn't a flood alert.